Okay, so so welcome everyone to the environment catch up for February. What I'm going to do first is just go through some slides, give some information. This bit is recorded so that we can pop it on YouTube afterwards, and then we will have a chat, share some any news, anything like that afterwards. So this is just our info slot to start off, and it's our February environment catch up. So the first thing to tell you all about, which most of you may well already know already, is that we have a really exciting road trip or train trip, I should say, for those of us that are going to be taking the train or cycle trip, because I think there's been some talk of cycling up there too, to Glossop Parish Church. And the reason we're going to do that is because they very recently were awarded Gold Eco Church. And it will be another opportunity to go and visit another Gold Eco Church and see how they've managed to get where they've got to. Now, Barbara is on the call today, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying that Barbara's from Glossop Parish, and she has said to me before that we're a very ordinary parish church. And I said that's fantastic because what's what we need to hear from those very, those places that we can all relate to that, maybe don't have a lot of money and resources, but have managed to pool what they have to get to Gold Eco Church. So you can sign up for that on Eventbrite. I'll send out the links with the email afterwards, and the links are also on social media. And that's on March the 18th. It will start. We will arrive at 10 o'clock, have chats, coffee, cake, I believe. I believe we've been promised cake, so that's wonderful, isn't it? And then we're going to have a bit of a tour of the place, and then a bit of a question and answer with Barbara, particularly about how they've come to their Gold Eco award. I had the privilege and pleasure of going and just doing a quick recce the other day, and I'm really excited to go back. There's some really interesting things, particularly in the use of land. So there's things like bug hotels and dead hedges and all kinds of things going on, which will be really interesting to see. But it will just be great to go along and just hear from another church and how they've managed to do that. So I highly recommend that. Come and join us. Sign up via Eventbrite, and that's on Saturday, March the 18th. Now, I know I'm going to be talking about June now, which sounds like miles and miles away, but we all know it will come round very quickly. Um, there is Caring for God's Acre are running their Love Your Burial Ground Week and Churches Count on Nature Week again in June. Now, if you've not participated in this before, this is a really nice opportunity to encourage members of your community to come to your church grounds. And there are lots of different events and things that they suggest you can do. We've done it in the past in a previous parish that I was in, which had only a very small bit of land. We participated in the Churches Count on Nature and just encouraged people on the school run as they were coming home from school or when they were passing, just to sit in the churchyard for a few minutes and just do a few minutes up to half an hour and just count the nature that they saw. And you can get various apps that you can use to help you identify the various plants and bugs and things and just take a tally. And then at the end of it, we gathered all the tallied information from the different people that had done this and sent it off to Caring for God's Acre so that they get an idea of what the biodiversity is like within our churchyards, which is really important. So it has a lot of really good aspects to it. It's a way of encouraging people to come to your churchyard and see your space, but it's also a way of really providing some really good data so that we can look at how our churchyards are doing in terms of biodiversity, and so that we can think about maybe how we can promote that more in the future. I'll send a link for God's Acre out with the email afterwards. As you can see, they do have a Twitter page and a Facebook page, and you can just Google Caring for God's Acre and have a look at what they do there. But I'd highly recommend it. It's a really nice thing to do in June. Now, I've mentioned this before. As we all know now, we're on the way to net zero 2030. And the Church of England, the Environment Programme and Church of England have provided some really good resources to help us get to that target. And what they've done on their website is that they have put resources for each separate category that are working towards net zero. Obviously, for most of us here, the category that we'll be looking at is churches. And if you go on the church, if you go on their website and click on the churches category there, that it comes up with a little document that tells you quite clearly what the milestones are for churches at the end of every year. So you can have like almost like a tick list. And then it breaks it down quite a bit. And it's something you can take to your PCCs. But as you can see also, a lot of it is very achievable. So for instance, by the end of 2023, what it's asking is that for basically for churches to be registered with Eco Church and to be looking at getting the bronze award and also to have completed the energy footprint tool. Those are the two targets that they're asking churches to do by the end of 2023. I've put together a little document which is currently going through Diocesan Comms, which just puts this into a short A4 sheet of paper that you can take to your PCCs very clearly, saying this is what we need to do by this time and how can we get to it. And so that should be in circulation soon, but you can just go on the website and have a look at the more detailed document if you want to. Just a plug for Fair Trade Fortnight. Fair Trade Fortnight starts very soon, 27th of February to the 12th of March. Now, most of you will have heard the really sad news about the demise of Tradecraft. And there is some work going on with the Manchester Diocese to see how we can still promote fair trade and the purchase of fair trade goods so that we can still have that fair trade presence within Manchester in a good, strong way. I'll take questions after I've done the presentation. But just for now, just to give you the information that there is a group that has been gathered. There's some work that's going to be done by the Environment Working Group around that. There's some talk, I know in some parts of Manchester Diocese, there's mission communities looking at how they can work together and maybe bulk buy some fair trade produce to make life a bit easier. So individual churches aren't bulk buying, big amounts, but you can bulk buy it as a mission community. There are options there. But in the meantime, Fair Trade Fortnight is coming up, and this may be a good opportunity to just reinforce some of those messages about how important fair trade is. And a lot of their campaigning this year is around climate as well. Another plug for our general lay courses. So this is part of the ALM course. If you can be an ALM, which is an authorised lay minister, and there are various different pathways that you can take for that. One of them being ecology and creation. But you can just take the ecology and creation course on its own without committing to becoming a full authorised lay minister. And you can do that simply by signing up through the website. And again, if I can, I'll be sending that link through with the email. And this is a 12-week course that really helps to equip you, or hopes to equip you and with the skills and the information that you need so that you can work with your local church and your local context towards eco-church status, towards net carbon zero. But what it also does is build networks and across different churches. You meet other people, you build networks with other people, and so that we can work together on these things. If you want any more questions about that, we can talk about it afterwards. But I really strongly encourage you to promote this in your context, to come on it if you want to. Most of it is taught by Zoom on a Tuesday evening, 2 hours on a Tuesday evening maximum. There are a couple of trips out to see churches that have been doing things across the diocese. And there is one Saturday, which is like a retreat day. But the majority of it is taught on Zoom, and it's a really good opportunity to sort of start engaging with what's going on in the wider diocese. I always do a plug for Eco Church. If you've not registered for Eco Church, please register for Eco Church. This is something that the registration is a very simple thing to do on the Arosha site. And they very much encourage you nowadays to do this as part of a team. So several people can register, can log on to your church's Eco Church page and contribute to the survey. So it's not just one person who's doing it. So it is one of our goals. But more importantly, what registering with Eco Church does is it gives you framework. When you start doing the survey, it asks you questions about what you're doing in your church. And this in turn will help you get ideas about what you can do and what you're already, and it will also make you feel quite good about what you're already doing. Because lots of people, when they start doing this survey, realise that they're actually quite near bronze, if not already at bronze, because of the work that they're already doing. So if you're not registered with Eco Church already, please do register. And again, as I'll say, throughout, we're here to support you, to answer any questions that you have, but also in your locality, find a team to work with you on this. And by all means, encourage young people within your settings as well to be part of this, because I know that has worked very well in some contexts too. We're energy footprint tool time again. So the energy footprint tool has been live since January. And the deadline for it is July the 31st. Now, if you'd have seen on one of the previous slides, the target this year is for 90% of churches across the Church of England to complete the energy footprint tool. Last year, just over 50% completed it within Manchester Diocese. So we've got a little bit of a leap here. But I think it is achievable. It's doable. Again, it's much better if you're able to do this as part of a team. And this is absolutely crucial data for us as a diocese and for the Church of England to make plans and to work out where our investments need to go and what we need to be doing. Also, looking into the future as funding becomes available from various streams, I have no doubt if funding comes available through the Church of England, one of the criteria will be that you have done your energy footprint tool, that you have engaged with this. So it's future proofing for you in terms of access to funding. It also gives you really valuable information about your carbon footprint, and it helps us as the church, the wider church, to discern where our finances need to go. Some of the data that we've had from previous years is already helping us decide where we're going to be putting funding in for the next couple of years. You can do this via the online parish return system. If you don't know what this is or don't have access to it, it's likely that your treasurer, your wardens, or your incumbent has access to this, and you can ask them for it. But what you can do instead, there's a number of ways that you can do this, and one of the best ways I think to do this is to actually work as a team. So if one person does the logging in and fills in the details, that doesn't mean they have to do all the work getting all the information. And the information that's needed are your gas and electricity bills. That date is wrong. Please get your gas and electricity bills for 2022, not 2021. And somebody, my treasurer gave me a file full of them all, and what I need to do now is go through them and work out how much gas we used, how much electricity we used, how much we spent for the year. So somebody could be doing that. Somebody else can be looking at the attendance, how many, some of these figures will already be pre-populated. Some of your attendance figures will probably be pre-populated, but looking at how many people use the building during the week, and measuring the size of your building. And of course, once you've measured the size of your building once on your energy footprint tool, it will pre-populate it again, because unless you have an extension, your building size isn't going to change. So one of these jobs you'll only need to do once, and then every year it will just pre-populate again. But this is something that you can split up. You can do, a number of people can get involved in doing this, so it's not just, again, reliant on one person. And you can start the survey, start inputting the data, and then come back and input more data later. So you don't have to have all your information before you start. You can do it bit by bit, which I think is really important to know. So have a look at it, or encourage whoever's got access to it to have a look at it and see how you can do it. As time goes on, there'll be more support from Matthew Barbaral, who's our transformation lead on this eco programme, and we'll be doing webinars and more one-to-one support and support across mission communities too. But by all means, just have a look at it first of all, see what you need to do, and start gathering that data. Now, the exciting bit of news that I heard, I think it was only yesterday, is that there is going to be an electric vehicle charging point pilot scheme across the Church of England. Now, this is only going to be for 30 churches across the Church of England. So that's not a lot of churches. But for those churches, what's going to happen is they're looking at Parish Buying and the National Giving Team are looking for sites to put in electrical vehicle charging points as part of a pilot. And they're going to be looking for all different kinds of sites to see how they work on different kinds of sites, rural, urban, all different kinds of places. They will install and maintain these charging points for free, and the churches will receive a ground rent for those parking spaces. So this is a really exciting opportunity. If this is something that you're thinking of doing and you've got car park with your church, this could be, this is certainly something that I would hope that a couple of our churches in Manchester end up doing. Now, what you need to do first is make sure that your PCC is willing and is happy for you to do this, is happy for you to pursue this, and then you fill in an expression of interest form. The link for that I will put in the email that I send out after this. The expression of interest form is really easy to fill in. It just asks you questions about your car park, and where you're situated, and how often, what the building use is like during the week, and that kind of thing. Nothing to, you won't need any specific data or anything. It's an easy form to fill in. And all that we'll be doing is you expressing your interest in this pilot. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a place, because only 30 churches across the Church of England will be chosen for this. But the more churches in Manchester that express an interest, the higher a chance we have of at least one or two of our churches becoming part of this pilot, and that'll be a fantastic thing. So by all means, I'll send the link out afterwards, and then you're very welcome. And I would encourage you to talk to your incumbents, your PCCs, your wardens, and see whether this is something that you can do. I think we're at the end. We are. Just for the purpose of the video, if you do want to get in contact with me for anything at all, or anything I've spoken about, you can email me at environment@manchester.anglican.org, and you can also find us on Twitter at ManDioEco, and on our Facebook page too.